Peace family, today is now day 1 of week 3 and we're starting off a little backtracked. We had pretty severe rain over the weekend and given that I discovered a couple leaks. Nothing serious, nothing like major pouring water in or anything of the sort like that, but minor leaks that have to be addressed. I didn't record anything yesterday, but I was out in the rain pretty much the entire time, completely soaked, just trying to get everything in order. There was a little leak here where by the space heater, which was coming in from one of the seams. Even though there's no gap there, the water was just slowly making its way in. It's nice that I have everything stripped out for the most part, so I was able to just walk around and see if there was anything. For under the cabinets and stuff, I would just open the doors and check if the ground was dry and the wall was dry, and they were, so that was a good thing. But over here by the space heater, there was a crack in the insulation, so that was allowing water to trickle through right here. So I sealed that with insulating foam, and I'm gonna seal it again with like a Flex Seal spray, waterproof spray, just to make sure that no water can come in. And then when I seal it from the outside, from both ways, it should be sealed off. And then another one was right here, right there, just this tiniest little trickle of water down, but I didn't notice it for a while because of the white wall. And so it was landing on the freshwater intakes plumbing, and then it was dripping down onto the floor underneath, so I had to clean all of that. Fortunately I caught them like relatively early, so there wasn't any like actual water damage. Stuff just got wet, but it dried out and everything is looking good. I sprayed it with some more mold preventative just to be safe. But another one was over here. I thought I had fixed this one already, but it seems that it's something different than what I had originally thought. It was coming down through the dripping down on the plumbing exhaust pipe, one of them that goes up through this wall of the shower here. And so the seal around the bottom of the cap has a leak, but I thought it was the crack on the top, so I had sealed all of that, but I guess it's going through the bottom, like underneath. And it's just a small one. It's when it rains really hard, and I guess water pools there a bit, and so it just travels down the PVC pipe, and then it drips onto the bathroom floor where the tub used to be. So it was like the smallest little drip. I was able to dry it off, and then it was fine. Unfortunately, it just travels down the plastic, and it's not actually touching any wood. So that should just dry itself off. And yeah, also by the old hot water tank, the door's like so like there's like this much space between the door and the body, so if there's any rain and wind, it can come in so easily. Like it's a giant open space, so it got a bit wet there too, but that's not necessarily a leak, it's more of just a design flaw, and I'm replacing that anyway. So but yeah, I just had to keep that dry. I had a fan on it overnight. But the one that really got to me was directly behind you guys, where I had been working for the last week, pretty relentlessly to try and seal everything off here. At the start of the storm, for the first few hours, everything was dry, and I was very content with that. But then towards the evening, we had just consistent rain non-stop. And you know how I showed you guys the piece of insulating foam that had came out and it had found that little hole by the antenna? Well, it turns out that the spray that I had used, it wasn't the black one, it was the regular big gap insulation, and it's not waterproof, it's just water resistant. So over time, all that water, it had absorbed some, and it was allowing water to come through that spot, and basically water was able to travel in. It was a lot less water, it was just a small little puddle, but I had to dry all of that. I had to take a bunch of the insulation off so I could let the wood dry properly, spray it with more mold preventative, and then I put marine grade silicone on the inside and the outside. So that should cover it. Like, I'll let you guys take a look. So right here in this corner, about there to the back, it was wet, and so I was trying to figure out how it was coming down. So I had assumed it was coming behind this joint and then just trickling in there in the corner. But I had realized that up here, right where this long strip of insulation ends and the blue one meet, this little piece there, you could probably see the silicone that I added. That was all wet, and then I had to let it dry off. I used I used the blower for like an hour, and it really dried out almost the entire space in here because it got so hot. And yeah, it was bone dry, and so I added the silicone on the inside where there was actually a relatively large gap between the wood frame and the aluminum frame. So I had filled all of that in, and I'm gonna add more like the Flex Seal spray, and then I'm gonna probably put a bit of spray foam insulation. And on the outside I had done the same. I removed that little piece of spray foam, and I had sanded it down a bit, and then basically the hole that was present on the outside was like maybe this big from where the spray foam came out of. So it was a super small part, but the smallest of holes can lead to the biggest of problems. So I generously covered that with the waterproof marine sealant. And so it rained a little bit after that, not much. But once I have everything sealed off completely, I'm going to do a water test once it's dry, but we may be getting more storms later in the week, so I could also just wait until then to really see what's going to happen with that. But I have faith that I've been able to nip them in the bud and finish this game of cat and mouse for good. So the only other thing I might do is take off this interior window frame and then put a layer of marine sealant just to be safe, and then put it back on. I'm also sealing the outside, but my guess is that from what I remember early in the morning when it just started raining, I had the window open and the screen closed, and so I think some water was sitting in here instead of out here or in here. And there's also this little hole here, so I'm gonna fill that because that's a crack, and I think it was just hitting the wall and then finding the one little tiny gap it could, and then just trickling out. And since this isn't flush with this, I might have to add some sealant in there too, just in case I ever have my screen open when it's raining, because it meets right here and this piece doesn't go all the way down, right? So there's still this little gap, and so the rain can get in there and then just drop back out. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I may not need to take the whole thing off, But I definitely want to just fill that in. And fill that in as well. And then I'll feel a lot better. So, without further ado, on today's agenda, we're going to be mostly outside. I'm going to be sealing all of the windows and the seams and the edges of this RV. Everything except the roof, pretty much, is going to get sealed today. As long as I have enough sealant. So, I hope I have enough, but you never know. So, we're just going to get started on that, but first I got to go to the hardware store, and I have to buy a fairly large step ladder so I can reach the very top edges of the RV. And once we're done that, we'll come back and we'll get to work. So hang in there, I'll be back soon. Peace. Alright guys, I just got back from the hardware store. We got the ladder and I tested it out and it's the perfect height. Also helps that it was on sale. So we're gonna get started. Step one, we're gonna degrease all the seams, make sure that there's no foreign matter anywhere that I'm gonna be sealing today, cleaning off any dirt that we don't want to trap in there, and then make sure it's dry. Cut the nozzle for the sealant. I'm gonna be using the ProFlex RV by Geocell, I believe, and then we get to sealing. So I'll bring you guys along. You can watch me seal all of my seams if you so choose, and we'll check it out after, and hopefully this is the last time I ever have to do this. See you.
Coasting through life, they leaving out of sight. I'm tryna feel the vibe of it, coasting through life. Treating life like a ride, coasting through life, coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life, coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. So I'm not tryna get it wrong or right, Feel like I just lose my ego every day. It's been hard to care about what people say. Thoughts coming in and they flow away. This is something that I just can't throw away. I feel it replacing me. Feeling love just replacing me. I feel it replacing me. Like this is who I'm supposed to be. Being coasting through life, they leaving out of sight. Tryna feel the vibe of it, coasting through life. Treating life like a ride, coasting through life, coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life, coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. Not tryna get it wrong or right, I'm just coasting through life. So I'm not tryna get it wrong or right, It's like I'm feeling a vibe at a whole nother level.
Peace, family. I just got done sealing literally every single seam, window, edge, everything, and anything you can think of on the side and rounded front and rounded rear of the RV. Literally everything except the roof. I just sealed it. 3 tubes of Proflex RV caulk and 8.5 hours later, we are done. And my camera kept dying, so you didn't get to see all the footage, but I'll go around and I'll show you, generally speaking, what I've done. And it came out really well, and I'm very confident that it will do a great job in keeping everything sealed. Not that there were like a lot of things that weren't sealed properly, but the front was a little bit of a mess, and there were a couple spots where water was getting in somehow, and obviously water has to be coming in from the outside before it can get to the inside. So now that everything is sealed off, and I've even done a bit of more sealing on the inside this morning, I am very happy with where we're at. And once it's all dried and cured and perfectly sealed and hardened, I'm going to take the pressure washer to it, give it an actual car wash, and get it real soaked for a while, and then check on all the spots that had been issues previously, and just make sure that they are sealed, and then that'll be that. The sealing of the seams and all that for the exterior are now finished. We just have the roof left, and then with the exception of painting the rear bumper, undercoating, a couple little things here and there, like the door, the trap door for the plumbing, things of that nature, we can focus all of our intention inside. And I'm really looking forward to that, because that's where you really get the most visual transformation, and it's extremely satisfying work. And so I'm looking forward to getting this show on the road, finishing off what I've started here in the front and working my way back. With that being said, I'm gonna go take you outside, show you all the seams, and then that'll be that. So thank you for sticking around. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. All of my labor doesn't go unnoticed, and I know that. Thank you guys. But until I show you, I'm just babbling, so let's get to it. So here's the general gist of things. I sealed a lot of things that weren't sealed before, just to be safe, in case anything stretches or bends in a way that isn't ideal. I know you guys saw me do this side, so I'm not gonna show you too much here, but all the lights are done. There's a little crack there, so I built that. You might be able to see right there. And all this down there. Around all the points for the ladder. All the way up, all the way across. Everything. The only things I didn't do are the hatch doors, other than this, and the generator, because these have a border, because on the other side, because I'm going to be replacing those, so I didn't see it necessary, because then I'd just be undoing my work after. The beads came out pretty well, a bit chunky around the windows. It just didn't go on as well because it's more of a flat surface rather than a crevice. Sealed around the door. All the edges on the bottom. All the way up at the top. Around every single window. Around every point in here. This is where it always looks the worst. Because they've sealed it before and it's all dirty with, well, not dirty, just weathered. And there's a bit of a crack there that I sealed. And then there's all the points here that I sealed, all up here. We sealed this all the way up. Sealed here. There was a hole there, all the way across, all the way across. Filled in all the holes that were left open. And I filled in some of those. I did the lights up there. This is done, and we're back. So pretty much everything is done, under, over, sides. Yeah, the only thing I didn't do were the gas fill ports, this door and that door. Otherwise, every single thing got done all the way across at the top. Everything. So, this is where it was dripping in. So I still want to seal this piece. Let's see if I can get this open. I still want to seal this piece right here, because I think that's how the water got down. So we're gonna do that with the marine sealant, and then that'll be that. So that's pretty much it. Doesn't seem like a lot of work, but it took me pretty much a full actual work day, a little bit longer. To get all of it done, I wanted to ensure that there weren't any gaps in what I had done, so I took my time and I did it right, and I'm very confident in how it's going to hold up. So I hope you guys think it's as good as I do. I'd rate it probably a 8.7 out of 10. A 10 for seal, and 7.5 for how it looks. But it should do the trick, and I know it will keep me dry inside. But I'm extremely tired, and I have work early in the morning tomorrow. I haven't eaten yet today, so I think we're gonna call it and end the video here. But if you stayed this long, thank you for watching the video. It means a lot to me. My 3 tips of advice for you if you're doing the same thing are: make sure you thoroughly clean the areas, degrease them, and wipe them and dry them before you start. Get rid of anything that's like foreign matter, like anything hanging on, dirt, leaf debris, cobwebs, anything of that sort. And then cut your tip on a nice 45-degree angle and have that angle pointing downward toward the seam that you're sealing. Seal it with a nice thick bead and then just run your finger across, or a tool if you have one that will push the caulk towards the body, get a better seal, a wider seal, and one that's more compact to the chassis, so that it doesn't just peel off over time, and it just adheres better. So those are my 3 tips of advice, and just take your time. There's no rush. Maybe you are in a rush to get it done, but if you do it right the first time, you likely won't ever have to do it again until it's been whatever amount of time that it can last in whatever environment you live in. So when all is said and done, I'm happy, and it turned out pretty much exactly how I expected. So without further ado, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.